Andy Wickens. So we're in Dust Bunker, your private collection here on the Kapiti Coast. I've got to say, it's pretty impressive. I'm certainly impressed. Looking around, I've seen a few collections in the past, and I think there are two types of collectors. There are collectors who collect to look, and collectors who collect and show. And you're obviously a shower. You like to get people through what you've got here and show off what you've got, and perhaps even provide a bit of the history behind it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how did the collection come about? Where did you start?
When I was born, I heard stories of my sniper grandfather from World War I who left New Zealand at age 15 from Wellington to go to World War I in 1915. So he was a sniper in Europe. The following year, in September 1916, he was shot in the right thigh. But he was gone for over 3 years. So from 15 onwards. His brother went the same year, but they didn't go on the same ship. I never met him because he died before I was born. But there was things in the home from him, and my dad was always talking about him because he was proud of his dad. My father was flying Tiger Moth solo over Rongotai in 1946. So I grew up with my dad looking up into the sky every time there was a plane to identify it. And in those days, there was still Bristol freighters flying around and probably even DC-3s.
All sorts of exciting stuff.
And up in Auckland, Motat had stuff outside beside the motorway. Yeah. You know, Sunderlands and things like that. Yeah. So I grew up with an interest in the home, with some stuff in the home. And as I got older, I became more and more interested. And by the time I got into my 20s, I started collecting seriously. And as you mentioned, I like to show stuff. I figure if you've got interesting things, why have them in boxes in the garage getting eaten by silverfish and moths, or stuff going rusty hanging in the garage, or whatever it is? If you've got something interesting, share it. So this is actually the third incarnation of my collection, because this is the third home I've owned. Right. So I went from a bedroom in my first home to 2 bedrooms, one of them being secure in my second home, to 50 square metres, semi-underground, completely secure, and restricted weapon, qualified bunker. Right. With a 115-year-old bank vault door is the only way in and out.
So you said earlier on that this is your third incarnation of the museum, effectively.
Yep.
I've got to say it's pretty tight in here. Do you think you'll ever get to a bigger fourth?
I could. The way I don't know if you've captured images yet, but the way I've suspended some of the guns down the. What's that? That's the west wing. Yeah. The way I've suspended some guns down there, I could easily lose a couple of $100,000 worth of guns down there suspending them from the ceiling. Right. So I'm not imminently in trouble for space. Right. What I need is more money.
The perennial problem. Yeah. Absolutely.
So
I mean, I just in walking around, I noticed you've got some incredible things here. You mentioned something earlier on. Was it a Luftwaffe helmet that you found locally?
Well, it's in this cabinet here.
Yep.
A woman had the helmet. It was her grandfather's. She's just up the road in Waikanae, which is 10 minutes up the road. Yep. And initially she said, "What photos of it? What's this? I don't want to sell it." And several people tagged me in it. So going, "Andy, look at this." So I contacted her. I sent her a photo of my German helmet cabinet, which is just here. Yep. And I said, "Single decal, 1940 Luftwaffe helmet. I'm your man. You know, you want information, you talk to me." Yep. A couple of months later, she said, "Did I want it?"
Right.
So I went up with cash in my pocket, and it was a genuine, what's the word? Sleeper, that's the word. Right. It was a genuine sleeper. Right. It had been hanging in Granddad's wardrobe. The chin strap is even stretched because it was hanging on a nail or something. So the chin strap is stretched. But it's completely original, mint liner, 80% of the decal is there. Yeah, 1940 Luftwaffe, single decal, M40. I paid $400 for it because she knew it was coming to a good home. But it's worth significantly more than that.
But again, I guess it's not only the weaponry and with the current issues, but anything else. Obviously, as we talked earlier on, you like to show this stuff off, you like to display it, and there's a good home here for a lot of that stuff.
Absolutely.
And I personally, from my own experience, I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of this stuff, as you say, still sleeping around out there. So if anybody does have something and they want to know that it's going to go to a good home, this is potentially a good home.
Absolutely.
I do love some of the stuff. I have heard previously before of what was done with some of the military equipment post-war. I love the Colander. Where did you pick that one up?
Believe it or not, it was actually on Trade Me. Those Colanders are in museums all over Europe.
Yeah.
And so there are significant... So it was on Trade Me and it was listed as trench art. But it's not trench art. It's a repurposed military artefact for civilian use after the war because Germany is trashed. Yeah. You know, of course it was their fault. But for your average housewife in Germany, her life was destroyed. You imagine.
Absolutely.
You know, obviously they're the perpetrators. However, for your average civilian in Germany after World War II, they were probably starving and they had a very bad time when the Russians came through. So one of the things they did was the civilian helmets. They couldn't do it with the combat helmets because the combat helmets were too hard and brittle. If they tried to change the shape of a combat helmet, it would just split.
Right.
But a civilian helmet, so in this case, M1934. So there's an original M34 there. There's one up there. But the Colander is an M34 German helmet from World War II turned into a kitchen colander. Right. So they've changed the shape. They've put handles on it and a base and added holes.
Yeah. Because
what it did have, the civilian helmets have like a pepper shaker holes in it.
Right.
Whereas the combat helmets only have two.
Yeah.
So they've put lots more holes in it. They've enamelled it. Right. And I got that off Trade Me for about $162. And nice. I've had helmet collectors all around the world going, oh my God, I've always wanted one of those.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. So, yeah, you are effectively your own private museum, aren't you? And you've got those, particularly for the weapons, the appropriate endorsements to be able to do that.
I already had, before the firearms changes recently, I already had Collector General, Collector Theatrical, and E, which is the semi-automatic stuff, which is now gone and banned. I applied, as soon as that happened, as soon as we were able to, I applied for the P endorsements, which is prohibited. Right. They gave me P firearms, P, which is P6, P7, which is P magazines, which you need not only for the P weapons, but also the C weapons. Right. So machine guns, in the new law, machine guns aren't affected. But if the machine gun has a magazine, the magazine is now prohibited. Which is a bit odd, because a belt-fed machine gun is not affected at all.
I think you mentioned earlier on that you were one of the first in the country to get that new P endorsement.
I was the first collector in the country to have the new P endorsement, yes. Okay.
So what does that mean for other collectors or other firearms owners out there who have had weaponry which is now effectively banned / illegal, whatever you want to call? In theory, my understanding is that those weapons effectively have to be handed in and destroyed because they don't have the appropriate endorsements. How does the fact that you have those endorsements here potentially affect those people?
Those people that are handing in their guns, if they had a legitimate reason, there would be no reason why they couldn't apply for a P endorsement themselves.
Right.
It was easy for me to do it because I already had collector's licenses.
Right.
And when they gave me the P endorsement, they even gave me C3, which is Collector's Museum. So I'm now legally, by the government and the police, I'm recognised as a museum. So it was very, very easy for them to say, here you go, here's P6, here's P7, you can keep everything.
Right.
I've offered my services to people saying, if you don't want your guns destroyed, because some of what is being destroyed are toys.
Right.
You know, are toy guns.
Absolutely, yeah.
They're not real military firearms,
Yeah.
but some are. There's M1 carbines being destroyed, there's Garands being destroyed, and a M1 Garand, which is World War II semi-automatic rifle, and it's the famous one because it takes the clip. And when it's empty, the clip fires out and goes ching on the ground. So lots of people know the Garand. They are being destroyed.
And at the end of the day, these are historic artefacts, effectively,
Absolutely. Or New Zealand's SLR.
Yeah.
The SLR is one of the most respected firearms in the world.
Yeah.
We use them. I've got one. I'm allowed to keep it. And I've had guys come to me and go, woohoo, the police gave me $2,200 for my SLRs and I only paid $1,400 for them. They're excited about getting cash for something that's being destroyed.
Right. And which, like a lot of, well, some of the stuff I think you've got here as I've walked around today, particularly the Charlton machine gun, extremely rare. A lot of the stuff that is not so rare at the moment is going to become very rare shortly because it is currently being destroyed.
Well, it's immediately, like I said, M1 carbines are being destroyed, Garands are being destroyed, SLRs are being destroyed. So immediately there's perhaps hundreds or even thousands of significantly historical, not military style semi-automatics, but actual military semi-automatics.
I think the short story is that you do have some of those endorsements now, the museum endorsements, and so if there are people out there who have anything in, they may be collectors, they may only have one piece, whatever, they were thinking of maybe handing it in, but they don't really want to see that historical item destroyed, you've certainly got a potential home here, so they just need to get in touch with you and see how it goes from there.
Absolutely. The facility is there. If you've legally got an E category weapon, I can ask for a permit. I can send in a request for a permit. I can take it off you. I can save it. If at a later date you get a P endorsement, I'll give it back.
Yeah, easy. And hopefully we can save some of those items out there.
Well, I would love to.
And yeah, it's great just to have a walk around here and see what you've got. So I would thoroughly recommend that anybody that is interested in military history, a bit of weaponry perhaps, to get in touch with you via your Facebook, which we'll put on the video.
Yeah,
and
you
it'll
can
be
put my cell phone number there too.
It'll be in the descriptions. As a museum, I mean, this is obviously a private collection, so you're not open to the public, you're not open generally, so people just contact you.
I'm open to the public by appointment.
By appointment only?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and that's why you don't have the address, is because I don't want people coming here when I'm not here.
Absolutely. So,
So they contact me, we make a time. I'm available most evenings. I can be available during the day with enough notice. Right. But I do work.
You got to pay for this stuff somehow. Yeah. Excellent. Well, that sounds really good. So hopefully we can get some extra people coming and having a look and appreciating what you got here. It's a fantastic collection.
It would be my pleasure.
Thanks a lot, Andy.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, it's Bruce here. Remember, we've got a wide variety of awesome video here on the Historical Machines TV channel. Please hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so that you're kept up to date when we release new videos.